Well, round 17 is done and dusted. In the top 1,000, we saw a 953 as the average score, which I did not meet myself, which pushed me to a little bit of a loss in ranks, and really just a few guys that I didn't have more than anything that hurt me this week. The majority of my scores were pretty solid, and we'll get into that in a sec, but missing out on Duncan and bringing in Latu Fainu to save cash in the end, and I thought he could score decent enough, and not getting Jerome Hughes was the big one in my side. So if you had both of those guys, you scored probably over 1,000 and did a great job, and if you didn't have either, then you're probably sitting where I was at that sort of 930 range. So 953, I just want to have a look at where people are at in the top 1,000 for trades, and you can see here the distribution of points, with that 950 being the majority, the median as well, 954, with a few scores there. 100 and little over 100 got 1,000 plus, with a 1,090 odd being the highest. And big shout out to my boy Andrew Phillips, who was at the meetup the other day at Full Time Sports Bar in Erie, and that was an absolutely awesome experience, guys. I showed the photo on Sunday morning there of our table and our crew, so that was awesome. And big shout out to Danny for setting us up with that, for letting me help sponsor his fantasy league, and then he's hosting different trivia nights and different things, and really looks after all the guys that are into fantasy, considering how much he loves it himself. And if you mention to him that you love fantasy, you'll come and ask him how your team's going, and he'll be able to look after you as well. Come in a few times, and you'll be one of the boys. So good stuff with that one, and I can't wait to continue that relationship and head back next year and hang out with all the lads. But Andrew's in second. We've got Jakey Boy in fourth. So to have second and fourth from the private crew means we're absolutely flying. Other 400 people we've got in there, with Danny's in 25th, John in 40th, Harry in 45, and Chris in the top 50, with the rest of the crew there in that top 100, 11 of us in that. I'm not one of them, but that is okay. Now, let's continue on with the yet another fantasy sports site. 4.8 trades left is the top 1,000, and with lots of injuries that went through, I'll do a mention of the last couple of games as well. Obviously, just heard me be a little bit sad about Hughes, but he was one of those guys that popped off in the last few rounds. The average bank size is actually 162,000. So most people have trades, and I'm in a similar boat too, with over 300. And our problem being, the players and the positions we have to buy, it's not expensive at all. So the bank that I'm going to be creating personally will be so that I can get the big dogs back in. It's not going to be used this week per se. Now, looking at trades left in the top ranks there, we've got rank 1 down to 2 trades, which is pretty interesting, along with rank 2. So Andrew unfortunately used a couple of his trades this week, so both 1 and 2 at the 2 mark. We mentioned that rank 3 was at 8. It looks like they've used 3 there to get into 5 left. And then we've got Jakey Boy just used the 1, I believe, pushing him down to 4, which is a pretty nice spot. And then rank 5 has 3 trades left. So that first 5 players are sitting lower than me, actually. I'm at 6, but I'm a long way behind them. So you can see there's a bit of room to catch up. You see rank 6 has 8 remaining, and a few other people in good spots there. Rank 13 has 10, so that's a massive number. And with the amount of injuries and things that have gone on over the last few days, and with Kiraz being named as 18th man, that grinds the gears, that one. I think for Walsh owners as well, it's basically the same boat, because if he wasn't going to get picked and they went with Hammer, then that's super frustrating that he ended up in 18, whereas Kiraz, but you knew that kind of Walsh was going to be very close to it. Kiraz, he needed an injury to play from the wingers in this side, and they switched him with Burton anyway. But I do understand in terms of getting him around the squad, but that could have been from 19th or 20th, so there you go. But just a quick comment there, 52 teams in the top 1,000 are at 0 now, 63 are at 1, so they may not be able to cover a couple of injuries that have popped up this week. And there's a few teams in here that will struggle a little bit over the next few weeks. 88 are down to 2, and there's much less. There's a much lower number of people that are sitting at 6 or above. So 148 there, 117 at 7, 72 at 8, and 45 at 9 before it gets very, very thin down there with 1 at 12. So it was a fun week with some really high scores in there. Then there was some annoying ones with lots of injuries around the grounds, and Pretty frustrating that the two top trade-ins there of Karaz and Fainu ended up having lower games. Fainu was just all in base, and then Karaz, very similar for him for his second lowest score of the year. With 200 people that sold Lawson, it turns out it wasn't the worst sell anyway, because he scored a double and got 21. Reece Walsh was brought in by 95, so a super frustrating one there, but Karaz brought in by majority of people for him to go up to like near 80%, I think, as an ownership. Guys like Turbo, solid score for him. He kind of won out if you bought him or Drinkwater, and then Hughes as well, and Jaden Brayley with a really, really good trade-ins as well. Now looking at my side there, just as a quick overview from round 17, I did manage to have King Tonga's score 43. I did do 4 loops in this one, so Jazz looped him early on with Latu, and the thing is, with me having 17 trades, it was made fairly easy to do some looping across the mid section, across half, across center, I believe. No, wing fullback, sorry, with Campbell if I wanted to, or Teddy, as I already set it up, and then Hosking as well in that edge. But really, I did the 3 expecting to only play 17 players, and then the final one was Hosking. It was like, well, if he actually plays really poorly or gets injured or whatever else, I can make that one trade of Campbell to someone, given Campbell played the last game, to be able to miss out on that score. But when he gets to 71, I have 17 players, so my 3 bench guys in White, Campbell, and Savala take the 3 scores there, and then Garrick, so Devanga, Fainu, and Hosking, and Garrick would come in for Tedesco as my wing fullback cover. So that was how that one worked out for me, with just the full 17 and no extras. Really happy overall with how Yongi played, and to have to play King Tonga as well. That game was very, it was a very happy one for myself that I could get away with that. But Couchman with the injury, and thankfully very highly owned at like 91 or 92%. And I'm glad I personally didn't have to trade him back in. So there are people that did have to do that one, and it was after I got the 69 on return. It was a pretty good decision to make, and it just didn't work out, unfortunately. And now he's likely to be having shoulder surgery and out for the year. Similar to Fletcher Sharp, it looks like he'll be the majority of the year as well. I might have saw something that across the weekend that he might be near the 6 weeks or something like that. So there's that one, but Couchman will be a sell. We don't lose Colin Matangi to Origin, so that's a good part of that one, that we have him this week. And I'm still, even with Couchman being out, I have 1 extra player in mid and edge, so we'll have to see how that one plays out. If needing lots of centers and wing fullbacks, I'll have to look to trade out one of those guys that are an extra in the side. King Tonga is going up a bit in price, which is good. Is he someone that we need any further, or is he someone that we can move on eventually from? We'll have to find out. Campbell we got through this week, so most likely we're holding on to him, given I think he'll be one of the better halves or wing fullbacks. Top sort of 3 in both, which is good. Savala we've got back for this week, which is nice. I was happy with Nico Hines. He's 56. Farnworth did a solid job. But the Aiken Colin Matangi combo with no Duncan was a tough one. So not going through the right, a little bit through the middle, but Colin not his best game. And then everything going through the left-hand side with Duncan. So moving ahead to round 18, you see there King Tonga is sitting in the interchange 2 spot, just because he's going to play early in this round. It is back to the 13 scorers only. And right now I've got Zach Hosking, who I had in emergency 8. Now, how you want to look at it, guys, if you want to set up looping just with the side I've got right now. So I've got 3 halves and I've got the 3 edges, or the mids. So I can muck around with that one as well. But with the Doggies game up against the Broncos, I currently only have Karaz, who will stay in the side. So it doesn't really help much. Broncos, I don't have any of those players, and if you have Walsh or Haas, they're not going to be available anyway. So the second game is King Tonga, so I can loop him in that first one, see how he plays, and make a decision on probably Fainu there, and he would move back onto the bench there for someone like Cleary or Campbell. Are the easy ones to do that. So with Tarpane and Hosking, I can or should be able to loop both. I haven't looked into that part yet, but I can definitely loop the way it's set up right now, I could just leave Hosking up in, let's just to keep it easier, so we can have people that we can put underneath is more the thing you need to think of. But if you put them down at the end, you can't put someone underneath them. So if you didn't want to play Koloamatangi or Aiken, you need to be able to put them underneath. Avoid having them as being the first emergency. Because if you have Hosking and 8, you can only put Aiken down to the lowest of number 7, which means you wouldn't be able to take the Hosking score from that bench spot. Could I do it? I probably could this week, couldn't I? Couchman injured. Yeah, I'd have to do a pre-game, basically. I'd have to put Couchman into edge, Koloamatangi up to mids, and take out a Tapane or something like that. So you could muck around with it, and that's the thing you can do. I could do in the mids this week as well, but I could do it with Clark, which is good. So Tapane, I could just safety loop him, and then I could muck around with both those scores if things worked out. So basically, to show you how it would work, Aaron Clark would sit in that spot. Let's just say we trust Tapane a little bit more. So in this setup here, once we get to that game, we've got the Dragons. So Couchman, he's already locked in. Let's just, for movability's sake, we've got Couchman locked in down there. And I've got my couple of movable pieces up here. So let's say Tapane, we like his score. Beautiful. We can leave him there, which is great. If we don't like Hosking's score, that's a very easy one there. How do we do it? Oh, Couchman. Couchman's just going to have to sit there, isn't he? Yeah, okay. Okay, we're working it out. So, guys, I haven't looked at my actual team yet. I just kind of set it up as to how it might look. All right. So in that one there, Tapane, if we like Tapane and Hosking's score, we're happy to leave Aiken. Let's just say it's, Tapane's 55 and Hosking is also 55. And that means with those two, Clark and Couchman out, Tapane and Hosking would come into the side. Now, in this next scenario, if we like Tapane's score, we leave him there. And we don't like Hosking's score, we would move Hosking up to... move Aiken up to interchange 3, so ahead of Hosking, and therefore I would get Aiken's score and I would get Tapane's score. Now, if I didn't like either Tapane or Hosking, I would have to make a trade to cover one. And if I didn't like Tapane's score and I wanted Hosking's score, Koloamatangi would come in for Aiken. How would that work? Wouldn't work, would it? Koloamatangi would cover Clark at mid. Oh no, it's okay, I think. There's some of the funny ones, hey, when they've got the duel, as to if it's actually going to count. Yeah, so no Tapane, so Koloamatangi hopefully would go into mid. And then Hosking would come into edge. That's the worrisome one, because sometimes it doesn't actually work that way. Because they could claim that Koloamatangi's the first edge on the list, and then Tapane would then be the mid that comes in. So that's the scary one. But anyway, if we move on. My sad thing here is Duncan. So in my personal side, I don't actually need Duncan's position. I need him as a scorer, but I don't need him and his position because of the extras I've got this week. Although, hey, if I safety looped Tapane and Hosking and they both went crap, for one, that would be sad. But let's just say they both got 10 and got injured, got in a melee or something, and ended up getting both sent off. Then Duncan could come in. So, not the end of the world. But my problem is centre and wing fullback here. Not expecting to win this week, to be honest with you there. Now, this centre and wing fullback's been a big one for my side. I've got Farnworth and Lucas, the two top guns in the centre position, even though Lucas didn't perform great. Teddy I've got up there. Carraz I've got in that top 4 as well. Garrick is very serviceable, that's fine. We've got Jaden Campbell down there as a wing fullback. That's, one of the best in the game. Yongi as a mid-range guy. There's no big reason as to why we need to sell him this week, but he can definitely be in our potential plans as a sell. Now, round 19, he comes back against the Panthers, who will be backing up from Origin, which is interesting in itself. So he's definitely one that could be easily be moved on. And I think in this setup now, given I need 3 either centers or wing fullback, because I definitely need 1 center now because Carraz is out. So let's just say I'll use Garrick up in center. I brought in one center there, and then I wanted to fill my team up and get the 13 available. So I don't need 3. Then I'd go 2 wing fullbacks and a center, which would add 3. These 5 aren't a sell, so there's 8, and then Campbell 9, Yongi 10. That's pretty ridiculous for center and wing fullback in a section where at most you would want 5 wing fullback or guys that can interchange between that and center, and 3 centers. And then they could have a dual where you're using them in half or using them in edge, something like that. If Lucas I could just start using him up in edge if I wanted to, because if I loaded up in these positions. So it's a spot where I don't want to overload, and that's where someone like Yongi could easily just be a sell to reduce the amount of wing fullbacks I have in the side. And when I'm looking at the position, to be honest, it's not great. So all the guys that are on bye this week, they are obviously out of my range or what I need. So you're looking at guys like Nwangani Tawaze as a really solid one. Holmes is out, Toy is out, Shibasaki's out. So the top 3, the top 4 wing fullback centers are Gornskis. So that's where Nawa could be an interesting one with that duel. Burbo with the 60 on, how good. Stafford Toa is there as an option. Adam Dewey. There's a bit of chat that maybe he moves to 6 like he did on the weekend. But he probably plays there in this game, given Luai's going to be in Origin. But how does that look longer term? But again, you're looking at guys like Purdue who can score low. You've got Adam Dewey that can score low. Do you go to Karapani as the cheaper guy? So basically what we're working out here is the center position is pretty rough. So that's where looking at potentially an Nwangani Tawaze could be a fun one for my side. And let's just have a quick look at the fixtures to come. I believe they were decent. So we got Tigers, Dragons, Sharks, Storm, Eagles, Dolphins, Dogs, Eels, Storm, Rabbitohs. So generally the start of that's obviously pretty nice with Tigers and Dragons. So that could be fun for Nawa. He might be an option. Hey, it's a bit under that top tier, but that's the problem. That is the problem. Now I've got to look at a few things with setup as well, and I think the big thing's going to be how do I get. And then I want Latrell the following week. So it's super frustrating. It might be a situation where I get the 13 on the park, and then I get Latrell, and then I just don't touch wing fullback. And then there are guys here that either get injured, one of them will go to Latrell, or I do make an upgrade from one of these mid-ranges to Latrell, which does feel like a bit of a waste of a potential position. And now that I've got the 2 cheapies already, it's all it's all very, very, very interesting how it's gonna play out. So now wing fullback on the other hand, so Nwangani Tawaze is still very high up on that list. We can't pick Walsh. We got Pappenhausen there at 594. He's lost a bit of cash. Drinkwater, a good one on the weekend, but he's got through that really, that more simple clash. And then, you're going down to Hopawade at 492. We're going down to Turbo, who I think is a really, really good shout at the price point. Sitting at 416. It's not expensive at all, and he's a guy who can generally score pretty well. It's against the Souths with Walker down and Latrell not there, so something to think about. And do I go that sort of mid-range type play that can be helpful and do a job for us? It sounds like it's probably the correct play with a mixture of like a Nwangani Tawaze and Drinkwater. The other thing I do want to deep dive into, so I'm going to kind of work it out a little bit with my trades, and I think I'm going to discuss a little bit deeper with the private crew once I sit down sort of tomorrow when I'm a little less tired from my low sleep count over the weekend. But yeah, I think that'll be a fun thing to do. And it's something you should have a look into yourself. Is just, if I was to do those 3 moves and yes, play a full team this week, does that hinder me later with the trades I do want to make? I think I need a mid for round 19. So, guys like Isaiah Yo come into the fold there. So I'm making that trade to get to 13 in round 19. I'd be flushed with centers and wing fullbacks definitely, and don't have to worry about that position, but then want to build to Latrell pretty quickly. So if I was to use 3 trades left, leave myself with 3, it also doesn't, it helps me this week get the good team, but does it put me back a little bit? Unfortunately, with, losing that amount of trades and then maybe using all of them or 2 of them at least in round 19, and then I don't really have that edge that I may have right now with, the average being 4.8, I'm at 6. Using the 3 this week would put me probably back on par and even with the average there. So it's more just going to be a delicate balance of does it help my rank this week to do the triple, or can I get away with just doing the 2, playing 1 short in a position where the players you're selecting aren't incredible? We'll see. I've got to look at, with Turbo, with the round 19 buy, it's something to look at. Guys like Nwanga Chiwaze aren't a problem. Pappenhausen, Drinkwater, they all play the next few weeks, which is fine. So that's my team, the potential strategy that I'm looking at the moment. And yeah, there's definitely a few things to do. So shout out to the guys I beat in Private Head Ted, Vanderkly. Sorry, bro. What about TK? His last dance crushed me 1,070. Had everyone. My brother beat me in the Content League. You'll hear from at least Mitchy, maybe Maddie as well tonight. So some decent scores from... got him by 2 in the end. How good's both of them? Well, you heard from Nicky, guys. Go and check out his video. He had a really good week at 971 in this one. So yeah, check out his video there. He helped me out with me not being able to be there. That Sunday night, it's been a bit all over the shop. But he always steps up, which is great. And now in the... was it Katoa Inc? I was like, there's some changes here to Austin's team. The Fantasy Amateurs, Katoa Inc. Love it. So we've got Jordan still in 9th. Jakey is... Where's he at? 106. So a good score from him at 951. Nick, Austin, Terrence, and Chrissy Cook pushed ahead of me with a good score. Big fella, 990. And then myself there, Josh, Prue, Monty, Rob, Clint, Lockie, Mitchy Boy, Longy. What do you end up with? 864, jeepers. It's a tough one. The Payne House captainers, that's right. There's a few of them out there. 20-odd%. So yeah, that's the podcasters crew. I'm going to keep pushing my way up. We'll get there. We'll get near. We won't get first. I think Jakey probably a little bit tough to chase as well. But from like Nick and Austin down that sort of 500 range, I think I'm well in reach of all that. And we're just going to make the correct trades from here. Get a little bit of luck with injuries, and Couchman's a sell for me. Guys like Yongi could be potentially moved on from. And then do I, if I get good scores from Hosking and Aiken, do I just muck around with a sell of, did I say Aiken? Hosking and Tarpanay? Do I sell someone like Aiken who, he has the bye next week and is not completely needed? So there's a few question marks around all that. But this is the full time is your fantasy league, guys. I'm getting spanked in that one, 137th. I do think Andrew's winning that one by a long shot actually, and then followed by Daniel there. So yeah, if you do play fantasy, guys, and you live somewhere near Auckland, you want to go check out some footy, and Daniel help look after you, and just tell him you love fantasy, and he'll get around you for sure, and help just make sure you have a good night basically is the cool thing there, or a good day whenever although Warriors, even if you play at 3 o'clock, it's 5 o'clock over there. So there you go. But we'll leave that one there, guys. Thanks so much for tuning into my results video, my strategy going forward there. And yeah, looking at that final 2 games, it was, Titans being a bit poor. Purdue's the big worry out of that one. Drinky's still a buy. Purdue probably a sell at this point, now that you've got through round 18. And then Pappenhausen a bit of a low one. Hughes looked great. Really happy with Hines to be able to get through with the 50-odd, I think was the best thing there. And then Eli Katoa with a 66 with no tackle breaks. With 2 try assists and a try with no tackle breaks is pretty wild in that one. And I was very happy with Nico, just my tackle bot Nico. And still had 302 kick meters, was nice there. Adam Fennell, Blake, McInnes, kind of a bit lower scores for them. Grant, Nicaragua, all just solid. Nothing really to say too much with those guys. The tackles from Ramian and Hines was wild on that one there. And the final game, both for more, just he's going to be a keeper. A very clear one at that. Drinky, try assist, 2 line breaks, 2 tries as well, and 237 kick meters. So that'll stick, I think, which is good for owners of him. And I captained him in Supercoach, so I had a good week on that one, and I'll get that video out to you a little bit later tonight. So we're actually storming 3 weeks in a row. We've gained some ranks, and this was, I think, over 2,000 rank swing from my side, which was nice. With 134, I think Drinky ends up with. It's crazy you can get double your score here in fantasy. So there you go, guys. That's the chat for the week on my strategy and my results. Thanks, guys.